Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to City Skylines. Last time we built our lovely new forestry district, and as you can see the traffic is starting to increase a little bit as well, so we are going to need to make some adjustments to our current industrial. But today I want to expand on my industry. I want to put in a new fishing harbour and start moving into a new residential district. We've got a lot to talk about and we're actually about to hit our next milestone, so before the game freezes up in this lovely tour, we're going to dive right back into it and start our new developments immediately. So you can see right now we are about 3 off our next milestone, and there we go, we are now a big town. We've unlocked campus areas and a new load of office specializations and things as well, which is really good. But the first and most important thing we've now unlocked is our incineration plants. These burn rubbish and turn them into energy, which is a really good way, despite being a pollutant, to get rid of some of our excess garbage. So we are going to start queuing up the emptying of these landfill sites. Now this is going to cause our traffic to really bottleneck in this area here as our garbage trucks move stuff from the landfills to the incineration plants, but that's not too much of an issue. That's all going to be sorted very quickly. The next thing I want to do is start moving this highway out to this area here, and to do that we're also going to need to buy a new tile. This actually unlocks access to this motorway that runs all the way along our town, and if we just have a quick look you can see that it circles all the way around the landscape here and eventually hooks back up with our main town. So this main artery is going to go all the way through and eventually link back up with the road system there. Before we do any of that, we're going to need to have it kind of curve around into what's going to be a brand new district where we end up putting in some residential areas and our fishing district. So what I need to do first though is level the terrain out to make it a bit of a smoother transition. So if we have a look here, you can see this is basically where I want it to end up. We're going to curve our road all the way around and get it to this area where it will make new ground. Then we will have a road kind of come up here and we'll just smooth this down and have a nice smoother transition into a brand new area. And of course we'll also level it all the way around here, and this is basically where our new quay is going to go. And we'll have our fishing industry hidden a little bit, and then our road system will go up into a new residential area. I think that works out pretty well. We'll just landscape a little bit more and then we are out of cash, but that's not too much of a problem. We'll just let things build up again. And once that's done, we can actually put in our new highway and start thinking about how we're going to develop things further here. You can see we have some litter issues, but that's all going to get sorted, and my aim for the next kind of steps and the next developments is going to be to make use of our brand new zoning rules. So you can see here we've got high density residential that we can now build, and I'm going to start building some high density residential all the way down here. Now as you can see, what I'd actually done was I'd built this and not allowed it to be zonable on certain sides. We're going to change that now and just start upgrading our roads so that we can actually put in our brand new residential stuff. Then we can make some adjustments here. We'll dezone everything that we currently have, because another thing I noticed earlier on when I was playing around and just doing a little bit of experimenting to see what I was going to do for this episode, we actually haven't included this in the main zone of Aspen Park, which is a little bit detrimental because it means that the buildings within this zone don't follow the theme I want for Aspen Park. So we're going to just colour this in now, and then we will start zoning our brand new buildings. And this area here for now is going to be untouched, but we are going to be making some very key adjustments to that area very soon. It's not going to be a new residential area, it is likely going to form a park area that will also encompass my universities. Universities is a DLC, and you basically get a university that starts expanding. You can have varsity events, you can have courses and academic papers published, and as you upgrade that area you bring in more money and unlock new tools and stuff to use within that area. So if we just have a look at our education tab, just while we're letting our money build back up, university, we currently have 1,884 students eligible for university, which means it's probably a good idea to start thinking about actually building our university areas. Before that though, we need to rezone all of our new residential. So we're going to start putting this in, and hopefully we'll start getting some medium density or high density residential built in this new area. So now that should sort out any population demands. Another thing that has popped up is the demand for office zone. Now, office zones count in your industrial areas. So it's industry or office. Now, I'd left this blank for a reason, and that's because I wanted to make it all office areas. And that is actually going to lower the industrial demand in this space, which is exactly what we want. I don't want as much demand for industry because I'm going to be putting all of my efforts into redeveloping and using these tiered industries like we have with the DLC and how we did with our forestry. We also need some commercial zones. So to bring in some more money quickly, we're going to expand this area here. What we need to do is just put in a couple of nice 2-lane roads going through this commercial district, lining back up with the opposite section there. And we'll do the same here. The same here. This area could do with flattening and just sorting out the actual terrain heights, but for now we'll just leave it as it is. It's not too much of a problem. We may need to add in some water pipes. Actually, no, that's fine. That's good. Good. Right, so these are going to start developing really nice, and we're going to start seeing demand for residential. And while that is all happening, we can now expand our highway. It's not perfect, but it does the job, and it will get us exactly where we're looking to go, which is down here where we're going to start our fishing industry. Before I do that though, I want to demolish these water pipes, and we're going to upgrade these to eco water outlets. Now we're just going to have to put 4 of these in because they don't have as much of a draw as what we've currently got. So as you can see here, they've all just kicked into power. We actually need more to cope with our waste, I think. That puts us up to 300,000 draining capacity per week, which is exactly what we're looking for. It's actually kicked in and gone a bit more, but more is better than not enough. So this should now start helping with those heavy pollutant waters, and we can actually start sorting that out and having a little bit more of a healthier water area for our citizens. Next, we're going to pop down a fishing harbour, and that is the first steps to having a very thriving fishing industry. And we're going to put in a couple of these. We might put 3 or 4 in actually. They cost 8,000 each, so we are going to have to wait a little bit before we can put our next one in. That goes there, and then our final one, when we get a bit more money in, we can put that in here. So we need to go back into this area here. We select the fishing route, and we then start matching this up. So all we need to do is have them move around in this direction, and they will fish in this area quite naturally. And then we just hook it back up to the fishery, and that is all good to go. And you can see now the boats are already starting to go out. And what I'll do then is we'll continue having these go around. We'll have them overlap slightly. And we'll just overlap them all the way down to continue completing the network. And then the same here. This one I did play around with, and it was my first kind of attempt at industry in City Skylines, and it did okay, but it could always be improved. And like I said, I'm learning as I go here. I'm just trying to prepare myself as best I can for City Skylines 2 coming out by learning this one and hoping that I can apply my best knowledge to a new game. Right, okay, so if we go back to our first fishing harbour, you can see we have 25 of 26 workers in here, and we are starting to gather up a nice amount of fish. We just need to connect it up to a road network now, and we can just run a nice few roads all the way along here, get it all linked up, and then what we'll do is we'll have it come off here and connect to the main road network. We'll have a nice curved road that we'll loop it round and have it join the roundabout here. So it's not ideal, but it is we can upgrade this roundabout network at some point. But for now, it's just very important that we can allow our trucks to gain access to the main road network. And that's good, that's really good. Now, if we just have a quick check on our timber processors, because there's a couple of things that we need to do, and it's going to involve expanding our industry area. You can see it was really short down here, but I need to add in a few more buildings because our industry itself is being throttled by a lack of buyers. So we can see here, our medium tree plantation doesn't have enough buyers for their products. So if we go into our industry tab and our forestry tab, you can see here we have a couple of processing buildings that are buyers from these areas. So if we just start putting in another sawmill or two, and then add in some more biomass pellet plants, and then when we get a bit more money, we'll put in another engineered wood plant. And that should now satisfy the demand that we have in these areas here. As you can see, not enough buyers, but here the biomass pellet plant doesn't have enough raw resources. And that could be a lack of storage or something causing some issues. So we are then going to put in a sort of storage right there. We're going to put a large log yard in over here. And when we get a bit more money back, we're going to put in a wood chip storage. Now, all of this will improve the number of workers that we need and help us process materials at a quicker rate. You can see our finances have started to increase a little bit more. We're making just under 7 grand, but it does fluctuate as our industry has to buy in materials if they are short of stuff. So that's one thing we do need to watch out for. Thankfully though, as we start expanding our industry, our money will tip out and look really healthy. The next industry I want to build, which will probably not be this episode, it'll be likely next week's episode, I want to put in a farm, and that's going to involve making sure that this timber processing plant is running very well. I'd like to get it to a 5-star processing factory as quick as possible, because that means it's going to be getting the maximum income. And then what will happen is we'll completely destroy the Smith district and renovate that as a proper farming industry area. You can see here, all of our office buildings have come up pretty nicely and the demand is now being very well satisfied. We still have quite a bit of demand for residential and stuff, but we are going to start working on a new residential area here. And what I might also do is just demolish this front street of Aspen Park and then add in some quays and stuff. But you can see we are starting to bring in quite a bit of fish, which is really nice. And that means we can actually go to this industrial area, this commercial area, my apologies, and we will put in a unique building. So we can unlock the salmon fishing harbour, and if I look right here, you can see there's quite a big bit of salmon going down here, so we can actually fish salmon in this area. At the moment we're catching a lot of tuna, but you can see there's quite a large amount of salmon here, so we can actually start tapping into that resource. The fish market is a unique building where you can then go and sell all of the fish that you've caught. So we're going to try and find a place to put that. And then we will just have to double check that the power's hooked up properly. So we'll add in a couple more power lines. That sorts that out. And then our fish market will now start receiving fish from here. Now the problem we have is this area, they're going to drive all the way up here and then have to join here and then loop back round. That shouldn't be an issue right now, but all of this is going to start causing some major traffic issues in this small commercial zone. We're going to demolish the first landfill because that is now empty. And as you can see, we're at 44% and 42% there and 42% there. So once all of our landfills are gone, we might be able to destroy some of our incineration plants as well. And that will help throttle the pollution a little bit and stop things getting so overly polluted here. If we go back to our industry, we should now be able to build a fish factory. Now that takes fresh fish from harbours and farms and turns them into canned fish, which is delivered to shops in commercial zones. So we're going to put one of them in right here. And that will now start taking fish from these areas and turn them into commercial zone goods. Now they can then come into our commercial area and be sold, which will help boost our commercial income. We've just lost power to this area here, so we're going to hook up another power line there and here. And that keeps that going well. Now we do have some issues here. You can see the land kind of changed a little bit as we put these things in, so we are going to have to be aware of that. It did go down a little bit lower than I would have liked, but nothing we can do about that. And again, we are making a nice bit of money, which means we can put down our salmon fishing harbour. Don't know if there's any difference between salmon and fish, or if it will just kind of naturally build up and we'll be able to keep tabs on what we catch. It might just be that it decides that it's generally fish and that's it. Okay, so our sinkhole has opened up right over that railway track now. At the moment, that's
Stay
not
out
a
of
problem,
harm's
and it
way
hasn't
and
actually
contact
damaged the
authorities
railroad,
with
so
any
it's not
information.
too much of a problem. That kind of, oof, that was lucky, I think. So at the moment, our fishing route efficiency is at 0%. Now this isn't good because all of these other ones are at 100%, which means the route is certainly missing something. Now our salmon fishing boats are currently operating. They have caught some, not a great deal, and it looks like they're actually going straight through. So these are cruising, these are catching salmon. I wonder if we just haven't, yeah, the route efficiency the efficiency is still at 0%. So that's not great. We might need to adjust that route slightly. Yeah, that's better. So our fishing efficiency is now up to around about 86%. Now it might well be that we can extend that route further. Because what we want is we want them to go all the way up this coastline, and when they finish, they need to have like 100% of their catch. They're at 79% at the moment, so we can afford to expand that route a little bit further. What I'll do is I'll delete these bits here. We'll add in an extra... Oh, there we go. Right, Cypress timber processing has reached level 5. That's really good. Now, we'll come back to that before we finish the episode. So we want to bring this route all the way down to here, and then we'll link it back up with that. And then further up, we'll have it move. We'll delete this one here. And then go back to our route planner. And we'll just run it a little bit further up, right up to the water pipe, and then have it come back to port. Right, now that should be 100%. So these are all just basic fishing boats. They will just kind of go around and catch what we want. Now this one here, this is the boat we want to catch. So here we go. It's filling up. It's slowly going. But I think it will get to 100% by the time it docks. So that's really good. It just goes right up that coastline. Like I said, I don't know if it makes much of a difference what you catch, but you can see it's starting to fill up really nice there. And by the time it gets to that water pipe, it should be at 100%. Yeah, there we go. Nice and easy. And then it should just go back. And that should get it to 100%. All of these are at 100% because the tuna is rampant in this lake. So we are making a nice, tidy profit there. Let's have a quick look at our fish market. Not selling a great deal of fish, to be fair. Oh, there we go. We sold 30. So it is starting to look good. But what we could do is have something a little bit more tangible of like an off-ramp here, so we can get stuff to the industrial district as quick as possible. And then we may need to just redevelop this. We'll have this run all the way down here and loop around or something, but yeah. So over at our timber processing, we have unlocked a few new buildings. So if we just go back to our industry here, we have unlocked the, I think it was the pulp mill and the engineered wood plant. So we will build a pulp, oh no, I think we already had pulp mills, but we'll put one in. And then what we need to do is add in the engineered wood plant. I think we already had all of these though. We have actually unlocked the larger fields, which should be very useful to us. And everything else is unlocked, so that's good. Landfill sites are emptying really nice as well, and our fishing industry is very well set up. Now, if we just have a quick look before we leave our fishing industry for now, if we have a look at our milestones here, what we need to do is got our salmon fishing harbour. But yeah, so basically we increase the amount of stuff that we use and unlock more fishing based stuff the more we catch. So we're at 500,000 right now. If we get to 2 million, we'll unlock the shellfish and tuna fishing harbour. Now what we'll eventually do is we'll upgrade our basic fishing harbours to proper tuna harbours, and we'll get a proper fleet going out. They will have a larger capacity and basically have a higher freight truck capacity. I think you can see here the basic fishing harbour only has 6, whereas the tuna fishing has 24 freight trucks, and also it fills 36 workplaces basically, so that's really good. And then here we get other units and farmland and stuff that we can put in. That's it. It's a very basic industry, but it does bring in a nice bit of money, and the more we have going here, they will be able to continue selling fish. Now the problem at the moment is the lack of delivery, so we would need to adjust our road network slightly, or maybe even just move this. We could move the fish market directly onto this quayside and make this a bit more of a commercial area, and then have a residential area behind it. But I think that just about wraps us up for now. We've done quite a bit of development there, and as you can see, things are starting to look really nice. Now the one thing I would like to do though is just kind of a basic map of where I'm going to put this university area. Now I would like this to be a park area. We want to kind of separate Aspen Park, and as you can see, we are starting to run into a few issues. I think our cemetery might be full, and I don't think we have the crematorium unlocked yet. No, it's not full, it's just a little bit behind. But as we have the money, I think what we need to do is just revisit our healthcare. So generally, the healthcare is pretty good. Death care is not great. We are running out of space. We don't have the crematorium unlocked yet. We need to get to a population of 17,000 for that. So before we do anything else, we'll put in a brand new cemetery, and we'll put it over in this area here. That's going to lead to the demolition of some houses, but that's not too much of an issue. I'm not bothered about that. Next, let's have a look at our childcare. We do have some sick children, so we're going to put a child healthcare centre in. And we want to have this quite close to our new housing area. So we'll add that in on the corner of this street here. We want to try and keep it in this area, because what I'm going to plan on doing is having this converted into a bus lane, because a bus network is going to be critical soon. Elder care is pretty bad, so we are going to put, again, an elderly care home right there. These should be rebuilt as houses, so it's not too much of a problem. Then the sauna, which will improve the health of our citizens. We'll put one over in that area there. And lastly, we want to put in some new areas like a sports hall and a gymnasium, as well as community pools, yoga gardens. So I'll put a sports hall and gymnasium in right here where our new residential area is. And again, these aren't as big as they could be, so we can then put in a few parks or some nice greenery and stuff just to really finish off the area. So if we just go to we could use forestry brush revisited here actually, and just decrease the size of it. So we've reduced the size and the strength. We can now put in just some nice random bushes. There we go. So in the morning, when that looks nice, you can see here we're going to start getting visitors to our sports hall and gymnasium. And all of this is just going to increase the health of our citizens and allow them to expand. You can see we've lost a little bit of our population, but as these buildings upgrade, more will come back. The next thing we need to focus on is our fire safety. Now, there's huge fire hazards all over the city. So what I want to do is start putting in some residual fire officers. So we're going to put a small fire department in our industrial district here. That's just going to allow them to cover this. If this forestry district suffers a fire, it's an absolute disaster. So I'm going to put a fire watchtower in here as well. And that's just going to expand the reach of our fire brigade. And another one there. So that's really cool. That just expands our fire brigade a little bit. And it just looks out for forest fires, which is really going to save our forestry department in a bit of a pinch, basically. You can see now the fire hazards have dropped a little bit, but not enough to my liking, so we need to put in another fire department. I'm going to save up for a larger fire station. Once that's in, that's going to be sorted. I'm also going to have to take a look at my police department, because I did notice a little bit of an increase in crime in this area here. So we will put a new police station there, just a small one. And then education. Now, if we have a look, our elementary school eligibility, we can actually afford to build a brand new elementary school. So we're going to put one in this residential district right there. And as you can see, we are almost at our capacity there. And high school is another one that we're going to need to improve. So $24,000, and we'll be able to add that in as well. And once that's done, we will be ready to improve our population even further. That's the high school ready to go. We're going to need to put that in right there. And our power is throttling. So as soon as I've got a bit more money, there we go, we can put in another advanced wind turbine. And that should just about solve the power issues. It does, but we've got to be prepared for the fact that we're going to need to put in some more of these because we are right on the top of our electricity consumption. I just have a look at my economy here. We are maxed out on all of those. So we are going to need to take a look at that very soon. I'm also going to boost my high density residential taxes and my commercial and my office. Keeping it at around about 12% should bring us in a nice chunk of cash. As you can see there, looking really good. And finally, these are now all completely gone. That has been a very, very successful episode here in Cawfields. We do have some fires though, so we need to address that. We'll just get another extra bit of power there from those two, and then we will have to really save up for this new fire station costing 60,000 because that risk is horrible. What we can do in the meantime though is redevelop our policy of putting in a smoke detector distribution. That will just help us out a lot more and decrease the fire risk a little bit. It should just drop down gradually once all of the smoke detectors are put in, but you will have to watch out for our finances. They may start to tank. Thankfully though, having some taxes has offset that quite a bit. Once we get this new fire station in, it should blanket a lot of this residential district. You can see here we only have a very small fire station in that area, so once we get this put in, we'll be in a much better position. I am going to put it here though because I would like this to be the beginning of my park district, so we will need to just kind of be aware of where we're putting this. So as we barrel on down for our next milestone actually, which is, if we just have a quick look, small city and then it's a big city. So we are almost at the big city, which is really cool. We've made some big strides this week, so that's really, really good. Now, we can also put in a fire helicopter depot and a higher capacity helicopter depot, but we're not going to do that. We're going to make sure that we get our big fire station put in, and that should have a very wide range. And that will really, really impact the safety of our city. We could probably do with a small one just to service these areas here, but I'm going to leave that until next week because we'll have developed this area and we can put a small fire department in our new farm. So as you can see as well, the water pollution has dropped a little bit since we put in those eco water outlets, and that's really good to see. But we're looking pretty good. We do have some areas here that need improvement, and this obviously is not looking good, so we will need to sort that out in the future, but we can't do that until we've improved our population and reached a larger city milestone. It looks like we need to pump some more water, so we are going to have to put in a brand new water pump, but that was kind of expected. That is us done. What a lovely time it's been. We've really hit the ground running this week. We've done a lot of development. We've expanded into some new areas. Our forestry district hit tier 5, which is the max it can be, and that's going to start bringing us in a lot of money. We could do with improving the road network around here, as the trucks that come in and out of that part of the city can only go at a certain low speed. But as you can see, we're getting some really nice new residential districts. We have expanded our school and education departments, and we are ready to move into a university, which is really exciting. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time.